traditional first time and work the second.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Okay. Next order of business. Okay, the next thing we need to discuss is the process for filling the vacancy on the board. And there's a very clear policy, BBBE, that talks about how that process is done. From what I understand, and I know that you sent us a kind of like draft of the board, probably would announce it. I need to find that missing. And essentially, from doing the reading, is that we post it on the district website, and then we ask for a letter of interest. What I'm suggesting is that with that letter of interest that we have, that there are some questions attached to it that they need to answer in that letter. So we get a really clear understanding of why that person wants to be on the board, and if, how we're moving forward, if they were moving forward with us. So I have 6 questions. It doesn't need to be 6 questions, it could be 2 or 3. I don't know what types of questions you might want to know from someone who's interested in being on the board. And so if we can tonight decide on if we want questions, which ones we want, then Marie would be able to post it within a day or so tomorrow, looking for those individuals who might be interested in filling the vacant position.
So how we did it in the past, because I sat through 2 of these, is whomever submits the letter of interest, we bring them in. If we choose to bring them in, we choose to bring them in and ask them questions, like an interview.
Yes.
And then we discuss it on public, and then we go from there.
Yeah, that's what the policy says.
Yeah.
And those, and then we could, at the next meeting or the following, come up with the interview questions, and then we can do a rating sheet, like a spreadsheet, with the questions, with the individual's names, and then just kind of like a scale of 1 to 5, and then come back as a board and discuss who we think might be a good fit for our board.
Right.
Does that make sense? So, so I guess the question is, do you want to include any specific questions to the letter of interest, so that we're teasing out maybe, why they want to be on the board versus I just want to be on the board? Is there a reason? Have they had prior experiences? What do they think the responsibilities are for? And those types of things. But it's up to you. It's a board decision.
I like the idea of including questions so that we have something, everyone's answering those same questions and we can base it off of that information.
And I had written down 6, I was just thinking, it doesn't need to be 6, but how many would you, 1, 2, I don't know.
I think those 6 are good questions to ask, and then for the interview questions, I think those are good as well. They pretty much just cut to the chase. I'm good with it. I make a motion to put out the listing with the attached questions on the webpage or whatever. District page.
So with the draft questions,
Yeah, the ones that I had.
I just want to make sure it's this page, right?
Yes.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. So that will go out. Excuse me?
Is that all?
I think, and then the other, I don't know if you want to do it tonight or if you want to do it next week, which would be a work study, work meeting.
that our topic of discussion, and that other than Megan's report, have that be what we work on. And if Shane has something new.
I will bring the graduation requirements for all three of the alternative schools and how they differ from Keene, which they really don't, but I will bring that information. In other words, just a quick one, Pioneer Valley has 3 social studies and 2 language required, but Keene has 5 social studies. But world language includes culture, and so that's, you know, it's, so yeah, I'll bring that information so that we really know what we're looking at as far as apples and apples.
And I think we need to look at also, who is gonna make up the committee? You know, are there gonna be teachers on the committee? And
I think we need a broad
yes,
group. Since I have a whole lot in this game and
Yeah.
Romana does too, I'm sure we want to definitely be heading that whole thing. Sorry, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I assumed, yeah, I was right there. I think we need to have one big committee and break it out into subcommittees to look into stuff on each school and then come back into work sessions.
yeah,
But we definitely need, in at least that main committee, we need a vast one.
stakeholders, yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely need to make sure that we get, like, bus drivers' opinions, parents' opinions, all sorts of stuff.
I would also suggest our school guidance counselor that's been working with the 8th graders for the past
Yeah, yeah.
20 years or 15 years and preparing them for high school because she knows their curriculum like inside and out. So I would suggest having her on the committee just because she will be the one that does the coursework selection with them and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. So
Definitely.
So just like I did as a heads up for today, I'll draft just a few things to think about that we may want to address during that meeting.
Yeah, I have a whole sheet that I made up just in case you talked about it tonight.
Great, okay. So we'll table it until
Next
next
week.
week. Okay, so, okay, good. Okay, any citizen comments?
I'm just wondering if one of the choices on your list is opening fair.
I'm sorry, Karen.
Opening fair high school, if it's on your list of choices for high school.
I guess I would say, this is just that, you could look at it, the cost factor, to see what the cost factor would be. I think we could look at it.
I don't know where you are in this process, so I'm just throwing it out there.
We're ready to begin.
I hear lots of other names, and I haven't heard fair,
There, okay.
so.
Point taken. Any other?
Robert Bushy, Winchester Road. Cheryl had mentioned earlier about Medicaid revenue, and that reminded me that I had asked a few meetings about revenue for Medicaid billing. Do we have an update on that information,
No.
or could we get?
And I think there has been some, I will talk to Cheryl, and I'll ask her if she has that information, so that at the first board meeting in May, if she could bring it to that. And I'll make a note here to make sure we have that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dr. Karen. Do you have a response to that?
No, but I did want to, I was asked to respond to Joan, which I did, her question at the last meeting, and I told her at the last meeting, all of the jobs that we have open are posted. We did refresh them. Some of our jobs have been posted for a year. So the understanding is it's really hard to find teachers, believe it or not. When I started, you know, it was hard to get a job. You actually had to teach a lesson and to get a job, but now it's really difficult. So the position she was asking about in particular was art, and we have tried really hard. We're still trying to, you know, come up with ideas. But those jobs are all posted, and we're hoping that we can fill some of them. Thank you.
Thank you for the update.
Hi. I have two questions. My first one is,
Who are you?
and maybe Mary Gann, Parker Street. Do you all know what the timeline is for making a decision on filling the vacancy? Is there a timeline on that?
Right now, it's open-ended,
Okay.
seeing how many people send us letters of interest.
Okay.
Marie, how long does that normally stay open? You don't know?
She left it open-ended.
Okay.
Okay. So like rolling, kind of rolling application. And then my second question is maybe this was already inherent when you were speaking before, Joni, about what the committee would look like for folks who, sorry, I'm so tired, the conversation about high school. Is there a space for community members who are not necessarily
Of
parents?
course.
Okay.
I mean,
I just
pay the taxes for it, you should have a
Yeah,
say in
sure.
it.
I just, that, having been on these kinds of committees before, it can be unwieldy, right, to have a lot, so I was just wondering,
Yeah, and that's stuff that we'll try to get figured out next
Okay.
week, is how many we want on it,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
Great.
And then I'm hoping that next week we can set a date to have like a public forum to get at least something out to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I think you named that earlier, Dr. Jerome, but I think anything around being really transparent, making sure the community feels like they are having input, whether it means like multiple modalities of how that happens, will be super important. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Do we have non-public? Yes, we do. Oh, I'm sorry. Non-public,
Non-public, I would say 91-A3, 2, semicolon A. Thank you.
I make a motion to